Welcome to episode 19 of the ISHAN Cast. As always, I'm joined by my dad, and today we are talking about universe needs.
We are indeed. How are you, ISHAN?
I'm good, as always. How are you?
Very well. I've been really looking forward to this particular episode of the podcast.
I feel like this one lends itself to more unpacking even than the rest of the songs.
So let's just jump straight in.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the characters, both the characters in this song. Who are they? What are they feeling? And where do things end up with them?
So the two characters, one who I sort of sing from the perspective of is this very normal dude. He hasn't got a whole lot going on. The other person, who I find much more interesting in a lot of ways, she is the subject of the song. She is who, quote unquote, the universe needs. When I wrote her, I always pictured a rocket scientist, which is not necessarily explicit in the song. It's maybe implicit if you read into some of the lyrics the way I do. But I picture her as a rocket scientist, and she's doing this amazing, like, generational work. And I know I'm going to get comments, so I should put this caveat in there and go, I know that modern science doesn't typically work like that, where you have one person who just like pushes the boundaries on their own. It used to be like that. Now it's, small contributions. But anyway, don't burst my bubble. I have this image of she's this incredible, like, rocket scientist. And I remember thinking about, when I wrote it, I was thinking about, what would this character be like if in, say, 300 years from now, as a species, we are like, full space travel mode, and we're doing all this crazy stuff, and society looks back and goes, this character was one of, if not the one person who came up with the ideas or the theories that have then led to this. So, people talk about this person is like the father of chemistry, or like the mother, like this, that sort of thing. In my mind, she's that for some sort of space-tastic future.
Like scientists or even philosophers of old, be it Einstein, Galileo, or even going back, to Socrates in terms of philosophers and
right. And so she is, in her prime, doing this work now, and she is in a relationship with this guy who's very normal. He's probably got some normal job, and I'm just thinking about, okay, what would that be like if she's got this awareness that she's doing the most amazing work, and future generations, you think, are going to be, very grateful for it. It's going to save lives, make life better, whatever it ends up being. And so how to balance such an extreme, desire to give your work everything, but also it's more than a desire from a personal perspective, because you go, well, I have this gift, and it's not only for my benefit, it's going to benefit everyone. So it's almost this responsibility as well as desire. You want to make good on yourself,
and
but also obligation.
Yeah.
Exactly. How to square that with, well, I still want to have my own life. And so it's that story, but then it's being played out from the perspective of the regular guy she's with. And so his perspective is going, well, my goodness, she's doing this amazing stuff. It's way beyond me. It eats up every second of her life. I mean, there's this line in the second verse, you'll spare an hour or two.
Progress for all of us humankind. It's got to be front of mind, but you'll spare an hour or two.
Like that, in my head, I'm literally thinking, like, you have an hour or two to spend with me a week. Or like, not even with me, this other character, but like an hour or two a week that you might, I don't know, go for a walk, and I can be present in that. And the rest of it is either you're sleeping because you're resting, or you're working. And so this is a roundabout explanation, but it's a more complicated song. And so I think now to get to the actual point, the song is exploring from this guy's perspective. What is it like? How do I square that? I want a relationship with this woman, and I want to be acknowledged and feel appreciated and feel, important in this relationship. Like, we all want to feel important in our relationships, but at the same time, she's just doing the most amazing stuff. And as much as it hurts or it stings, of course I can understand this character again. It's not me. I can understand that this goes way beyond me. I am not the most important person in this situation. So how do you square that? Like, you want to look after yourself, but equally, and this is so far-fetched, but it's like she's doing generational work. How do you square that? And there's this underlying notion the whole way through of like, everyone needs to be loved. Even her, who's doing, you know, the most, like, she's playing God at this point. She's inventing things that, you know, we never thought possible. Even she needs someone to look after her. And so there's also this notion of like, even though, and this is where again it comes back to sort of this obligation. Like I think obligation is a big part of the song, in the same way that she works really hard because she feels she's excited about it, but also she feels a sense of duty and honor to like make good on this gift she's been given. I feel like he also has a sense of obligation and duty, because he goes, well, everyone needs to be loved. Everyone needs people around them. And even her, she's this hyper capable, intelligent, generational scientific talent. But even she needs someone to look after her. If she wants to spend every now I'm post-rationalizing, right? But if she's going to spend every waking second thinking about rockets, someone's got to make her breakfast. You know, someone's got to help around the house. Like, someone's got to be there for something. And so that's where I get this. That's where this line, "That's what this universe needs," has come from. It's like, well, this character could say, you know what, you go live your life, but I need more from my relationship. But it's his sense of duty and honor that goes, okay, well, for you to be your best, you need me. And so even though the best thing for me might be to walk away and be in a more, say, equitable relationship, I understand that the universe needs you. And even if it's for 4 seconds a week, you need me on some level, because you need someone, and I understand you and I love you. And that's what the song's about.
So, wow. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
We talked about the word obligation. From her point of view, an obligation to make good on her gift to the world and change the world forever. From his point of view, there's almost an element of sacrifice.
Oh, definitely. Both of them, I think.
And here's the question that's in my mind when I hear the song. Does he actually love her? Because it sounds like he did. I'm not sure if he still does. So is he still with her because there's genuine love there? Or is it because it's the right thing to do to stay with her?
I think he loves her. I feel that. And that's I pause because that's such a great example, I think, of when in music what the artist thinks maybe matters less. Like, if someone else hears it and goes, I don't hear the love in this, then okay, that song's going to take on a different meaning to you. But I think he loves her. I think that's part of the difficulty. I mean, yeah, I guess it would be pretty cold if it was like, oh, damn, I'm just doing this for science. It's like, no. He loves her. He adores her. It's just difficult. It's just really difficult. And in the same way, I think she loves him. But it's just, it's so easy to go, oh, love's the most important thing. But it's like, it is until it's not. It is until you're, for example, doing something that's going to change gender. Like, you know what I mean? Like, then all of a sudden, there is a bigger priority, and it's that experience of, well, maybe it's not enough. Maybe it is.
So, ISHAN, you sit down to write a song. Most people can't write songs, me included. But you sit down to write a song. And I ask this question with all the love and respect in the world, being your dad. Dude, what the hell is going through your mind? I mean, what's the inspiration to come up with this, not just elaborate story, but this almost this snapshot of emotion? The song gives you this sense, it makes you feel. What sparked this idea?
It's a great question. I'm not really sure. I think, and you know, I think we've spoken at points throughout the podcast, throughout this album, about how, I have been enjoying at this point in my life writing songs about these other characters, and so it's like, I'm still drawing from my own life experiences, and for Her Boyfriend's House is a great example of like, it's a little bit of truth, but then it's a lot of just me having fun with it, or like, we'll talk about Clara, and again, just like writing characters that have a little bit of real life in them. I think that on some level I can relate to being in a relationship with someone that I don't really understand. Not necessarily the whole science, we're going to change the world kind of part. Like that's obviously a very extreme scenario. But I think on some level I can relate to that. And I bring that up also because a lot of my friends have asked me if I actually relate to the girl, because they go, "Oh, well, you're doing music, and music is such an unusual thing that people don't quite understand." Which to be fair is very true. Like most of my friends are not in music, and so I find it very fascinating hearing about this stuff. But I don't know. I definitely like I don't. I resonate much more with the guy. I think obviously I wrote it from his perspective. I have so many questions about the girl, but it doesn't feel like an intuitive experience to me to be that person in the relationship. So maybe there's a little bit of real life in there floating around in so much as this is a situation where there is such a practical divide between these two people. They're on such different planets, basically.
So it's interesting. For those who have listened to the podcast before, they'll know that we don't script this. And so therefore I'm never quite sure which direction we're going to go in. I hadn't intended to explore this, but I hadn't thought about it from the perspective of what was the motivation behind the song. I find it interesting that your friends have picked two different elements, or you picked one and maybe the other. Your perspective was maybe I've been in a relationship where I didn't quite understand the girl, and so therefore that gives me an insight into the guy's world. And we don't need to go more into that.
No, and by the way, like, I'm sure we said this on different episodes as well, but that's me post-rationalizing, right? Like
sure.
in the moment, it's the same thing I'm always doing, where I'm trying to sit there and with my guitar, and I'm just trying to be open, and the ideas flow in, and then it's only afterwards I can go, how on earth did I come up with that? Oh, okay, I can connect some dots and go, maybe it came from this, because it came from something.
And we don't want to draw too solid a line between your past experiences and relationships and this song. So I get that. But what I hadn't thought about was what your friends identified, that maybe there's an element of the female, from your perspective, that you are working 24/7, 7 days a week in a profession which, frankly, most people would see as really different. You don't go to an office. You can't come home and switch off. It's omnipresent. You get messages and DMs middle of the night. It just keeps on going. Yeah. Right. I hadn't thought about that. You actually may be in some respects also living out the girl.
Yeah. I mean, I fully understand why friends make that comment, and I didn't, like, the first time someone said it to me, I was like, oh, I never thought of that, but I can see it's a very logical conclusion to come to. So yeah, I guess all I can say is when writing it, when performing it, no, it's never really something that I've felt. But yeah, I can understand that in a way. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. I'm not going out and changing the world. I'm just making my art that I enjoy. And so in a sense, couldn't be further apart. But in so much as it's very different to what other people are doing, I get that.
And in some respects, art can change the world. And if it doesn't change the entire world, it can change an individual's world.
Of course, I don't presume that, and I don't. That's never my primary objective. But
there are songs that I've heard when I was growing up, as a younger person, which definitely changed my world. And I'm sure that there are people out there, and your music has changed their world. So yes, it's not science, but there's some parallels there. This song, Universe Needs, is the first song on the album. Why did you choose this one to be the first song?
Well, I think with this with this album being a collection of individual stories, individual songs, they're all different characters. So there's not, I guess, besides the method of storytelling and writing, there's not a strong thread through all the songs. I guess it was a good thing and a bad thing because there were really no rules. I could have picked any one, as opposed to like there being an obvious, like, for example, the cycle of codependence comes to mind. Like there's a pretty obvious start and end point between this story. Like there was really only one where I could have ordered that EP.
And the cycle of codependence, for those who don't know, is the EP that came out before this album,
Yes,
which was the
EP.
5 songs which really sort of told a story of a relationship. There was an order there.
Yeah. Whereas this is just like shuffle 10, like think about like having 10 short stories in front of you and just like shuffle them around and like, which one are you going to pick up first? That, like it would have been weird to start with something like really slow, like Characters I Drew, for example. But relatively speaking, I think there were a lot of options. I think that very simply, I felt like this song showed so much of like, especially at the time, what I felt was like the best of my writing. I was like, if I could only show people one song, like what would I want them to like? One song to get a sense of what the album's about, what my art is about. Obviously you can't do that perfectly. No one song is going to capture the whole 10-song album. But like if I had to pick one, I just felt like Universe Needs. I felt like it's a great story. It's got depth, it's acoustic, but it's got this kind of like string thing. It's a lot of the sounds that I love and I feel like represent me closely.
That's what this universe needs.
And I felt like, well, if you like Universe Needs, you'll probably like a lot of the rest of the album.
Is that a proxy or another way of saying that this is your favourite song on the album?
I mean, it changes all the time, right? In the same way that my favorite song of mine changes all the time, like across all albums. My favorite song of other artists changes all the time.
I'm waiting for someone to go back and put in the comments that they've gone and listened to every single episode of
and it's changed every time.
And every single episode you said this is my favorite, because I'm pretty sure with a song from my brother.
Leave me alone.
With a song from my brother,
Did I say it was my favorite?
No, I think you said it's one of your favorites. But
it is one of my favorites.
Yeah, but then there's probably 10 of those songs that are one of your favorites.
Sue me. No. I think. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. Can't say that now. Now you've called me out.
But you've put it first, and you did say that if you wanted folks to hear just one song to illustrate your writing, this would be it. So
yeah, look, cop-out answer. It changes depending on my mood, but yes, absolutely. If there was one song that I could share to someone to go, this is what my album's about, it would absolutely be Universe Needs. That's why it's first.
And the obvious question or follow-up is, interestingly, Not My Mouth, which has had millions of streams compared to everything else.
Yeah.
This one, you chose to go first.
Yeah. My Mouth is great. I really enjoy it. I like all the songs. That's why they're on my album. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and like put them in a fight and explain to you why I prefer one over the other, because I don't really. This is not how I think about these songs. But yeah, Universe Needs for me scratches a very particular itch from a storytelling perspective, in so much as going, look what I can do. Look what I'm capable of. This to me feels like, I'm proud of all the songs, but like, if there's one where I'm really kind of flexing that songwriting muscle, not that's my intention, not that I'm sitting going, how can I make the most complicated song the most in-depth, but like when I lay all the cards on the table and go, here's my album, here's what I've got, one song in particular, the lights just dropped, one particular song where I go, this just happens to really show well what I can do, it's Universe Needs.
From a narrative perspective.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, narrative, production, vocal, it's just...
Let's come to those other, because we've been talking about the story, and that obviously the lyrics involved. The intro to the song has a lovely guitar riff that continues on through the first verse.
All time.
Again, I ask this a lot because I'm really interested in the songwriting process.
Yeah.
Was that guitar riff part of the initial songwriting, or was that added in afterwards in the studio?
That was part of the initial songwriting. So, I think I'm almost certain that I came up with that riff first before any lyrics, any writing was done. And I was sitting there playing that riff and going, "Oh, this is cool. This is cool." I'm just like playing this. I'm sure I can't remember, but I'm sure I would have sat there for at least half an hour, if not an hour, just playing the riff, feeling myself. "Oh, this is cool. This is cool. All right, now I'm ready to write something." So that definitely came first.
I do know. I actually knew the answer to the question. So there you go.
Okay.
I do remember.
Why are we doing this then? It's not for you.
No. Interestingly,
all right, guys, we're going home. Dad knows. He knows the story.
No,
already.
you know what? But normally I have no insight or clue into your songwriting.
Screw you guys. It's not about you. It's just about.
But this one, I actually do remember the riff. And so it's one of the rare occasions I actually have some insight about your songwriting process.
Do you remember what I was playing before I played this riff? There's a particular song or guitar piece that has a part that does it actually, I feel like if you played the songs back to back, you'd be like, this has nothing in common. But just from a guitar finger shape perspective, you have to move your hand only very slightly to get from one to the other, and then all of a sudden it makes this whole new thing. So Enter Sandman by Metallica.
I actually, you know what?
Boom, 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 as opposed to that wasn't the right notes, but
a lot of people won't know Enter Sandman. I mean, a lot of people will.
Yeah.
Enter Sandman by
Metallica. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a very,
very different song.
Very different song.
We you'll remember this, but so I used to play junior football, soccer for the Aussies and Americans. I used to play a lot of soccer, and actually I still do for fun in the park, but team soccer, primary school,
high school,
all the way through high school. Yeah. And I remember, this is now nothing to do with universe needs, but and you'll remember this too. But I'm telling it for the benefit of people who are not you and don't know the answers already. But we used to drive to the soccer game on Saturdays or whatever, and we'd play in the car rock songs to get me fired up because I feel like, for just a regular kid, I was relatively okay at football. I'm okay. I was a good pass. I played in the midfield, but especially as a primary school kid, going into middle school, I lacked a bit of aggression. I was, I was strong enough at that age, but I didn't really have that instinct to you sort of you don't hit people in soccer, but you give a bit of shoulder, you bump, you sort of bump people off the ball, and you got to have strength,
some physical presence,
some physical presence, exactly. And I, at a stage, sort of lacked that, and so I remember you would sort of encourage me, hey, you can protect the ball, you can use your body, and part of that encouragement was we'd and it was a mindset thing. I think it, I definitely did. By the time I got to year 7, year 8, again, I was never the biggest kid, and to be fair, a lot of the kids were playing soccer. We're not big, we're not rugby players, but we'd play these pump up songs in the car on the way, and it was Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, and then Enter Sandman were those. That was the top of the rotation.
Both had great guitar riffs.
And
what I'm hearing is you were playing that guitar riff, and that somehow morphed into the guitar riff, which is now at the start of Universe Needs, which is very, very weird.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Now, we've talked about the lyrics. Do you have a favorite lyric in this song?
Yes, I do. I think it's the first lyric. I'm proud of it. And no one else gets it, and I'm so okay with that because I think it's awesome. So all time is happening somewhere near. Does that mean that time's not real? Is that why you're always late?
All time is happening somewhere near. Does that mean that time's not real? Is that why you're always late?
Okay, explain.
So, I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm sure we've established that on this podcast already. But I don't know how I came across this, but there is this physics theory, or like, yeah, I guess you'd say it's a physics. It is some brand of physics theory, which, by the way, is not the most popular to explain, I guess, space and time. And it's, but it is a theory out there that some, people believe some version of it may be true, which is called the block universe theory, that says that space and time are this like 4-dimensional thing, but like you can imagine it as a cube. So all of space and time is this 4-dimensional cube, but just picture a 3-dimensional cube because that's all we can picture. And so it might be like, okay, Tuesday, where we are right now, is here, and Tuesday on the other side of the planet is here, and Wednesday on the other side of the planet is here.
Keeping in mind that people who are listening can't see where here is with your
just different points on a block. And so there's different versions of this. Physicists, leave me alone. I'm just a fan, right? But there is a version of this theory that posits that, okay, perhaps all of time from the beginning of the universe to its conclusion exists somewhere within this cube, right? So that's the theory. Okay, we won't talk about physics anymore. But now you turn to these two characters. And so I'm imagining this scene where they're talking to each other, and she is a rocket scientist. She's brilliant. So she is one night explaining to him what I've tried to very poorly explain, tried to explain to you guys, block universe theory, about how all of time exists somewhere. We don't have energy to get there, but it all kind of exists. It's not like it's not like 3 weeks from now doesn't exist. It exists. You just can't get there. It's just somewhere else in this block. And so he, being a normal guy, is trying to understand that, trying to comprehend that, and going, okay, so you're saying all time exists somewhere near. Does that mean that time isn't really real? If 3 weeks from now exists, is it even 3 weeks from now? Is time even real? Is that why you're always late? So it's a joke, basically. He's saying, I can't quite understand, but it's like a snarky little thing about like, is that why you're always late to dinner? Because you're so busy and like, you know what I mean?
So this is a beautiful, heartfelt song that's been inspired by Metallica, Enter Sandman, and a physics theory.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wonderful. Love it. I learned such amazing things on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share my favourite part?
Please.
From a lyrical point of view, my favourite line is in the second verse, the one thing you can't teach me is how to be good for you.
The one thing you can't teach me is how to be good for you.
I for some reason, I just strongly resonate, again, with my view of the characters. I can imagine that she's 10x smarter than he is, right? And she knows everything, and he's just a simple guy. But that one line, it's so heartfelt. I know that you need me. That's one thing you'll never be able to teach me. It gets me every time. So that's my favorite line.
Yeah, no, I mean, that definitely goes to what we were speaking about before, about this sense of, it's a sense of duty, but it's also like, yeah, she's hyper capable, but she still needs to be loved. And for all the things she can do, the one thing maybe she can't do is she can't she can't be for herself what he can, obviously everyone needs to love themselves, but like she still needs him on a level.
So that's lyrically. What about musically? Are there any parts of the song from a musical melodic production standpoint that you like more than others, that really resonate with you?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, the obviously the string line in the post-chorus. Dun, 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 dun.
That's what this universe needs.
That's I think it's catchy and fun, and I mean that was something that came about in the studio when I brought the song into the guys, and we're having again the conversation about, okay, what do we want it to sound like? What are the parts we're going to play? Obviously, it was, okay, well, my guitar part that we spoke about, we're keeping that. That's going to be like that's the bones of the song. But then I sort of said, well, whether it's whether it's purely a songwriting thing or also because of this sort of spacey vibe, like I could really see this having a bit of a Coldplay influence. So Viva La Vida in particular is one song that I've always resonated with.
I remember actually you taking that in as a reference.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my reference tracks and going, okay, there's something about this that I think my song is sort of touching on a similar thing and could really benefit from a bit of that treatment. So it's this, sort of like poppy sort of orchestral thing that's going on in a lot of the Coldplay songs. I think my favorite piece of production, and this is a Michael Painter special, so shout out to him, was the backing vocals in the last chorus. So I'll put them in here now. What I'm talking about, there's this like section of like overlapping oohs that like you don't. Okay, maybe after I play you, like I'll get the stems, play the exact snippet. Maybe after I play it for you guys, you'll hear it now when you listen. But I would wager that most people who hear the song don't sit there going, "Oh, there's this cool part that's doing this thing." You just kind of feel it, which I think is a hallmark of good production. But I'm going to put it in here now. Okay, so that's, I don't know, like musically I just find that sequence very moving, and it just, it really kind of lifts the emotion to a new level for me.
So for me, I wonder if we're talking about the same part, because for me it's the breakdown. I'll say You'll Take Me On Your Glorious Ride.
No, I'm talking about a different part, yeah.
Okay, so for me the part that I really resonate with musically is I'm just living to keep you alive, and then it almost closes down.
I'm just living to keep you alive. You will be remembered.
You will be remembered. After that, and then it just suddenly swells back up again. That swell I find amazing, because you actually go from a lower octave and you jump the octave, and all the production and all the backing vocals come in at the same time. I remember hearing the song for the first time. I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing when I heard it. And I had AirPods in, and that part I was pumping the air, saying, "Yes, he's got it." So that was my favorite part musically.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'm interested also in that part of the song when you play it live.
Yeah.
Because it's not exactly as I just described it. Then maybe we can put that part in the podcast as well. But when you play it live, can you think through, maybe it's so instinctual you don't even notice it, that you do something different in that bridge breakdown and the swell back up?
Oh, I'm searching my brain now. Oh, yes, I know. Getting calls from my grandma. Call you back. Yes, on the record, it swells up like in the second bar of 4. No, after 1 bar.
Yeah. So
I give it 2 bars. I go halfway through. You will be remembered. I will be a shadow of a doubt. You'll go on and change this. Like it's
so you go on and change this world, and then you jump up and then you jump up and you jump up the octave, and I'll be there to hold you down.
You will be remembered. Ooh, I will be your shadow of a doubt.
That just sang on the podcast. There
that
you
was
go.
Nice. Yeah,
broke my rule. So you go up.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. Sorry. It's
you go up on the 4th line. Right.
Yes, instead of like after the first one. Yeah.
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 Now, part of that's to do with looping and stems. Is that correct?
It's looping and stems. It's I mean, like, it's interesting. Like, I don't even think about it now. It's one of those things where sometimes I'm thinking about, okay, how do I want to do this live? And you know, I mean, sometimes it's looping and stems. I don't think this is one of those times, but sometimes it's just nice to make a change. And so I probably did it once thought, oh, this is like this is just a variation way to do it. Like keep the energy low for a little longer and then bring it back up. But like, you know, that's a decision that gets made, and I'm always happy with it. And so I just never think about it, to the point where now, like, you know, a year or two on from having, you know, fully like incorporated into my live set, like I play it every time I play live, I just don't even think about it.
Okay. Now, the vocal performance of this song sits much more in your falsetto range than any other song you've had to release to this point. How did you develop that falsetto range, and was it difficult to sing Universe Needs compared to other tracks?
It was, I don't think it was difficult to sing compared to other tracks. I mean, there are a few particularly high, like, ad-libs that I probably needed, you know, one or two cracks at just to really, really nail. In terms of how I developed it, I guess same as everything else, just experimentation and practice. And I remember actually I had a vocal coach when I was, you'll remember this, what, maybe 15,
yes.
Who was not a fan, to be honest, was like, don't do that. Don't sing. I mean, you know, like, as much as you can, avoid it.
Singing falsetto?
Well, in particular, it's like sometimes I sort of like slide up into falsetto, as opposed to like, this will be weird if you can't see my hands if you're listening on audio, but like, as opposed to going from here, I'm in head voice, to here.
So it's like a step.
Yes.
Rather than stepping up, she didn't want you to slide up. She wanted you to step up, and you're sometimes sliding up.
Yeah. So for example, like when it goes, "Ooh, I will be your shadow of a doubt," and that at that moment where it goes into the third chorus, like I'm sort of at the very top of my head voice, shadow of a doubt, kind of like it just slides into that falsetto with a bit of crackle for effect. Or vocal fry, rather. So yeah, I don't know. Experimentation, you know, I mean, there's nothing new about singing in falsetto, right? But it's just about like, no one's voice sounds quite like mine. My voice doesn't sound quite like anybody else's. No one's voice sounds like anyone's voice. So it's just, you know, I can hear, oh, I like this singer, I like that singer, I like this song, I like that song. And then because of that, I write my songs and they do similar things, and my songwriting brain wants to take me into falsetto. And then, you know, from 15, I start writing songs, 15, 16, 17, I'm writing more songs. My songwriting brain pushes me into that range, and then it's just a process of, okay, I want to go here, how do I go here?
Okay.
And so it's, never really like, oh, I'm going to sit here and like engineer, this is how I'm going to do it.
Now, you also have a music video for this song, probably the most professional music video that you've recorded or filmed. Tell me a little bit about that and the process.
Well, I really enjoyed it. It was, I think probably the most difficult part was just communicating in a way I've tried to do, like I've tried to do now, what the song was about. To the director, Michelle, and just kind of work with her to go, okay, how do we communicate this visually? You know, because like the song obviously does a lot of the heavy lifting, but we want a video that also sort of tells that story. How do you do that? And so, you know, to her credit, she obviously, you know, understood it really well. I feel like the visuals do really aid the story. But I guess then beyond that, you know, it was really fun to have a whole bunch of people on set. You know, I guess it's a little stressful too. Like there's a lot of moving parts for a video of that size. It was really fun. So
you're obviously a musician, a writer, a singer. I would now say, you know, a producer. You're increasingly getting into production.
Maybe, yeah.
Right. One thing.
I'm a professional podcaster.
There you go. You are too. One thing you're not, and again, not to cast aspersions, you've had no training. You're not an actor, and you've done a great job. You've done a great job in this music video. But here's my question, and it comes from a genuine space of curiosity. You had a female counterpart in the music video, and you had to establish a chemistry that would permeate and sort of come through to viewers. I think as a not completely objective viewer, but I think you've really done that. How is that? You hear about famous actors talking about certain scenes of intimacy that they do with people, and that they have to work and learn how to do that. Obviously, there was nothing that
it was pretty chill.
intimate, but at the same time, there was someone you didn't really know, and then you have to show chemistry and intimacy and love, and get all those feelings that you mentioned earlier in the podcast across. How was that for you as someone who's never been trained as an actor?
I would say that I don't want to say it was easy, because that wouldn't be fair, but it wasn't incredibly difficult either. I think that I think it would be, I'd be lying if I didn't acknowledge that in the beginning it was a little bit awkward. And I think, I definitely, even being someone who's not trained, and put the light back on here, even being someone who's not trained, I definitely sort of went in with this mindset of going, okay, I just need to be the most relaxed, easygoing kind of version of myself I can be, because someone else is going to have to sit here next to me and they don't know me just like I don't know them. I think, and it's like even the crew as well, none of us have worked together before. It just so happened that the crew hadn't really, everyone was sort of coming from different places. And so, I think, if I'm honest, it was a little awkward to begin with. Everyone just kind of getting in the room, and we're all meeting each other for the first time. And I'm sort of like, on the one hand, I'm the most inexperienced, especially at this point. Now, obviously, by the way, this is the first time with this is the second episode now with the new camera, so I'm acknowledging that now. So, now I have a camera and I'm starting to understand more about music videos, but especially at the time, it was like, on the one hand, I'm the most inexperienced. I've never been on a film set of this kind of caliber. Makeup moves came close, but really this is a new level for me. But equally, it's my music video, and even still, they don't quite understand the song in the same way that I do. We're still all trying to figure it out together. I'm trying to figure out the film stuff. They're trying to understand, exactly how we're trying to portray this song. So it took a minute for everyone I think to get really comfortable. But by the end, we were all cracking jokes and all having a good time, and it was very easy. So I definitely think that was I definitely think having an awareness of that going in, from my perspective of okay, I'm going to be feeling a certain way because I'm going to have to try and, portray the intimacy of these two characters with someone I've never met. She's going to be the same. The crew's not going to quite understand the song from the beginning because it is a weird one. Most music video sets are probably working on songs that are much more cut and dry. Having an understanding that going in and going, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to just put out fun vibes and just make everyone, put everyone at ease. I think that really helped.
Awesome. Well, ISHAN, to close this off, I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. You've said for many songs on the album, as we've done the podcast episodes, that it's one of your favorites.
Okay.
I think we would acknowledge that, and I acknowledge this is not subjective, it's objective data. My Mouth has streamed the best compared to all the other songs on the album. Mm-hmm. But here's me going out on a limb and saying, of all the songs on the album, this is my favorite.
Okay.
I remember the first time I heard it, it moved me in a way that probably a song for my brother did, because of the personal notion of that song, and because I understand the background context that we spoke about a couple of episodes ago. But this one genuinely moved me. I know a couple of your fans have made this very poor dad joke around thank you for the song. The universe needed that song.
Yeah.
But it would be remiss of me not
classic.
to have a dad joke somewhere in this podcast. So thank you for this song. It for me is genuinely special. I love it, and I listen to it all the time. So thank you.
No, it's my pleasure, and thank you all again for watching. We will be back soon with another episode. Which song are we talking about next?
I'm not sure.
Are we going to divert from the album now? Or are we going to have a little side tangent episode?
I'm going to have to look at the diary and work out whether Adventure came first or whether we were in India.
I think it's that. That's why I say it. I reckon it's supposed to be. I think next episode is going to be a little diversion from the album
because we are keeping in chronological order, and so the little
standalone single.
Yeah, the standalone single, that the sneak preview for folks who do listen to every episode is that there was a standalone single, if some might remember, that came out through the progress of the album when you were in India.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that'll be a fun episode because we'll be talking about some things that
we'll
happened
talk about
in India,
yeah.
which was hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Well, until then, be well. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.